Hello, hello, hello everyone. This is Namernan, and today I will be presenting to you my team for this edition of the Monotype Hard Mode Challenge. Now, if you want a refresher of the rules, just go to any of my previous videos that I'll link. But yes, for today's challenge, I want to talk about the Ghost team that I ended up using. Now, this team is not very standard, as you can tell, because I opted to go for a team that didn't use any of the S ranks. Which means no Dragapult, no Fluttermane, and no Goldango. Which, as I came to find out, these mons are actually quite good. Of course I knew that, but I didn't realize just how necessary they were in order to get a win, even in like the 1400s. Because this type just feels underwhelming without any of those mons on it. But yes. What I ended up going for was a hyper offense team with Golurk as the Stealth Rock setter, Bramblegust as a rapid spinner, and then I had a pivot in Sinistra. And two sweepers with Spectrier and Cerulege. Spectrier and Cerulege could also both act as wall breakers as well. And then I had Choice Scarf Zoroark Hisui, who acted as my speed control for the team. And also acted as a kind of trickster mon to try and play a few games. So what I ended up doing with this team a lot of the time was I would lead Golurk, or I would appear to lead Golurk, but it's actually Zoroark, and this ended up baiting a couple of people into sending out check to Golurk, but they would be surprised when they get hit by a Shadow Ball and end up losing like 55-60% of their HP, instead of seeing Stealth Rock come up on the field. This most often happened with Hatteran leads, as they would try to stop the rocks from coming in, and risk their Hatteran with a Poltergeist. But I would end up just hitting them with Shadow Ball instead. But besides that, it also acts as a pivot as well with U-Turn. And Flamethrower and Focus Blast are decent coverage options. But yeah. In general, this team went through quite a few iterations, because originally Golurk wasn't even on it. Originally it was Frostlass that was on it. But unfortunately, at the time when I was laddering with this team, MLT ladderers were going very hard on the ladder, and a lot of them were using a flying team that's very hard to break without the help of either Stealth Rock or any sort of anti-flying countermeasures. And while Frostlass does have ice coverage, it's very easily walled and stopped by Articuno. And the most it can really do is try to bait out a Destiny Bond, and most of the people abusing that team did not usually fall for that, so unfortunately I had to switch the lead. But Frostlass was usable, but at the time when I was laddering, I don't think I was going to be able to get a win if I didn't switch to Golurk. And Golurk was a lot better because it actually threatens out a lot of things on flying by itself, and it's able to get Stealth Rocks pretty easily. But yeah, Golurk was a necessary change. Bramblegust, I personally don't really like this set I have on Bramblegust initially. But as time went on, I slowly grew more and more used to it, because even though it's kind of redundant with Sinistra, as they're both defensive pivots, I appreciated the fact that it can add spikes to the field, while also walling whatever was in its way. And as usual, I'm also happy about the fact that I had Rapid Spin, which I desperately need on this team if I wanted to have Cerulege be even remotely usable. So, yeah. But yes, I'll just do a quick run through of the team since I pretty much already described what most of it does. But yes, standard focus asset on Golurk, nothing special here. Poltergeist, Earthquake, close combat, very standard. No guard to make sure Poltergeist always hits. Spectrier, Choice Spec set with Grimnai, full. We actually didn't go for a Monostager here because I actually wanted to have as much speed as possible on this thing, because I find that it's actually very good at outspeeding a lot of things in this metagame, especially the Ogre Pawn forms and Sneasler as well, so... Or Sneasler before Unburn Boost, obviously, but yeah. I wanted to make sure it could outspeed absolutely everything and didn't need any sort of compensation. Also Greninja. But yeah, Shadow Ball, and I actually opted for Hyper Beam instead of a Draining Kiss, because I found when using Draining Kiss on specs, it's not very good. You need a setup move in order for that move to be even remotely usable, because otherwise you're just using a 50 base power move on a choice spec set, which isn't really good. So I ended up using Hyper Beam instead so I could break through Dark types, because otherwise this entire set gets absolutely stuffed by Dark, unless I have this move on it, or Draining Kiss, but Draining Kiss wasn't doing enough damage for me, so I ended up opting for Hyper Beam, which just does a lot more damage, absolutely KOs anything that it hits. And it does come with a very bad caveat, but I think that it was worth it, especially since I'm choice specs, so if something like Mandibuzz were to come into me, it would definitely not appreciate it, and it would either have to roost, or it would risk dying. So, yeah. And it definitely can't take... It doesn't win the 1v1, I will say, but it at least wears it down to the point where I can switch into any of my other mons and actually present a threat to it. But yeah, Psychic and Dark Pulse are also good coverage options, and also just the strongest moves that it has, period, because this thing does not have a very good special move pool, so we just kind of had to make do with what we had. I could have done a non-spec set, but the spec set was just performing way too well in all the games that I was using it, so I decided that this was just the best set to go for. And I already have a Choice Scarfer in Zoroark, so I didn't really feel the need to make this Choice Scarf. Cerulege, very standard set. Literally nothing to go off of here. It's Focus Sash, Weak Armor, nothing special here. The Bramble Guest, I already described it before. It's just acting as a pivot. Rapid Spinner, also able to add pressure with spikes. Has Strength Zap to wall anything that comes into it. Wind Rider actually came in very, very handy during the MLT ladder season, because it's actually able to wall stuff like Tornadus once it gets hit by a knockoff. So this was actually very, very handy. And Sinistra with Heat Proof allows it to come in on more mons, and also it's just also it has Strength Zap, which was a tech I added on later, because originally this had Substitute, but I found that Strength Zap was just a lot better, as it helped wall stuff a lot easier. And it was also just nice to have some form of recovery that wasn't much a gotcha, because this move is not really that reliable, doesn't hit a lot in a metagame very well, so yeah. It's also Calm Mind as well. And lastly, Zoroark, I already described how I use this thing, but yeah, very standard set, Focus Blast, Flamethrower, and yeah, that's pretty much the team, so I'll just show you guys the replay now. So this was the replay, the only viable replay that I got of this team, because the rest of them are way below the 1400s. So yes, I got this replay against a bug team that was being run by an MLT user. So let's just take a look. So this is a perfect example of what I was talking about. This guy that absolutely thought that they were up against Golurk, so they stayed in instead of switching to Fortress and getting their hazards up. They decided to try and kill it immediately. Or sorry, I messed up what I meant to say. What I meant to say was they weren't thinking that this was a Zoroark, so they just thought, okay, we're gonna get a Flare Blitz in here, and then it'll have to choose between using Stealth Rocks or just KOing itself, and that was not what ended up happening. Instead, it got Flamethrowered and lost a bunch of its HP, and it ended up losing more of its HP to a Flare Blitz. And Zoroark somehow managed to live that, which was very handy. But yes, and we see that Volcarona is Leftovers instead of Heavy Duty Boots, which is actually going to be very handy later. So we send in Golurk, he clicks Flamethrower, I put up Stealth Rocks because I absolutely want it, and he can't get rid of it no matter what he tries to do. I press Poltergeist since it has Leftovers, and it dies. Cleavor comes in. We also don't have hazard removal on our team. Well, no, we do, but yeah. Night Slash Cleavor is a very big threat to our team, but I knew that I had Sarah Ledge, so we end up knowing that. Better Blade. Caesar is obviously here to revenge kill us, so I Shadow Sniff to get as much damage off as possible. I didn't feel like it would be worth even trying to get Sarah Ledge back in the match, so I just sacked it. We get Spectre ready to sweep here. Fortunately, I know this thing is Choice Scarf, so I end up sending out Ramblghast to take the hit. Now, all seems lost here, but my Sinistra is actually bulky enough to take the Night Slash. It takes it pretty well, too, I will add. And we Strength Zap. And this right here is the power of Strength Zap, and why I ended up taking it. So yeah, I end up setting up in front of it. Now, I do have to be careful, because this thing does still have the high crit chance. So I could have gotten crit at any of these. On any of these. I also missed the Matcha Gotcha, which is very bad. And I end up Strength Slapping again here, just to make sure I stay above 50% HP, because I need HP to be able to deal with Arachnid later. Or not to deal with Arachnid, but I just wanted to make sure I didn't like die to a crit. And yeah, I ended up beating him just because my Sinistra had Strength Sap instead of a substitute. But yeah, that last minute tech is the reason why I won that match. And unfortunately, yes, this is the only replay I got. It doesn't really show the maximum capabilities of all my Pokemon sets. I didn't really get to show how Ramblghast's Rapid Spin was valuable. I did get to show how good Golurk was, and I showed the lead stuff with Zoroark. But yeah, in general, this match, while uneventful, still shows that like Ghost does have potential even without its S ranks, but it also throughout my entire time laddering, I've realized how important to Ghost that Fluttermane, Goldango, and Dragapult are to this type. Because if I had the same Golurk team, but I had any of those mons on the team, not even all three, just like two or even one of them on this team, it would have been a lot easier to get a win against one of the higher ELO players, but unfortunately I was not there. And you can see, like, I was constantly getting games, but I couldn't win against anyone that was at the same level as me, and I could only win against people that were in like 1300s, low 1300s, or 1200s. I actually got up to the 1500s using this, frankly, not great Ghost team. But yeah, it's not Monotype Hard Mode without a reason. So that will be it for this video. And now I will spin the wheel to see, but before I spin the wheel to see what type we do next time, I want to do a quick update. We will be reviewing MLT matches and talking about what they mean for the metagame, or what the matches mean for the development of the metagame as we go on. So there's already been an MLT match, and for those who don't know what MLT is, it's a Monotype laddering tournament. Happens every year. People ladder on the ladder for a lot, and in fact I was literally, if you've been paying attention in a lot of these videos, you'll notice that there are people with the MLT tag or ML something tag that I end up going against a lot, and those are all people that were trying to qualify for the Monotype ladder tournament. In short, I will be reviewing the matches of these tournaments. I'm not going to really like criticize plays or anything like that. I just want to see the value each team has and what they all do. And once I do that, I want to discuss also what the types, or what each type is bringing to the table, what types seem good, what types aren't seeming good, any trends that I notice, any unusual sets, and just generally just taking a look at what the metagame, or what the high-level metagame is looking like right now. Because you have to remember, these people had to get high rating on the ladder in order to even get into the tournament, so the teams that they're bringing are also going to be optimized pretty well. So, with that being said, I will now spin the wheel. And it's fire. So I will see you guys next time. Hopefully the break between videos won't be as long as this one, because this one was very difficult. But yes, we will be doing fire the next time you see me, so see you then.